In outer space, an object begins to fall at high speed toward Earth, landing in New Mexico. At that moment, a local resident is out hunting deer when he sees the impact ahead and decides to investigate. With his gun at the ready, the hunter goes to take a look at the crater along with his dog. But as he approaches, the animal runs away in fear. The next day, young Renee, who is obsessed with venomous animals, gets ready for another day of school. In addition to not being popular among her classmates, the girl has a difficult relationship with her mother, Linda, and her current boyfriend, Chase. After class, the girl goes to feed her pets, including her best friend, the snake Graham. After that, Renee goes to dinner at the table, and Chase says that someone scratched his car door. The girl does not admit that she did it, and the guy even says that he found rat corpses near the microwave. The girl says she heated them up to feed her snake, but cleaned everything up afterwards, unlike Chase, who just drinks all day and doesn't help around the house. The guy is enraged by this response and throws the salad at the girl who, unable to react, leaves the house and sets off down the road on her quad bike. Once she manages to calm down, Renee stops the vehicle right next to a crater in the desert. She finds this strange and goes to see what's inside when she comes across a strange creature trapped in the hunter's truck by a chain. At first, Renee is frightened, but when she sees that the creature is injured, she releases the chain and flees back home. The next morning, the girl sees several helicopters flying over the desert, and believing that they are there in search of the creature. She decides to take another look at the site. Before doing so, Renee makes a list of items she will need, such as binoculars, pliers, water, and a camera to record everything. However, the girl doesn't even have a cell phone, so she decides to borrow a camera from Gil, the only boy at school she talks to. At first, the boy refuses to lend her the camera because he knows his grandfather doesn't like to lend his things. However, Renee insists, saying that if he lets her have the camera for at least one day, she will help him with his English homework. Gil accepts the deal, and at the end of class, Renee returns home with the camera, where she finds Linda and Chase waiting for her. The guy says that from that day on he will try to be a better person, and he made a promise to Linda that he will stop drinking. After that, he offers to pay for dinner and gives the girl a coin, indicating that he has been sober for 24 hours. However, Renee does not believe Chase's words because despite all his talk, he did not even apologize for what he did the night before. The girl then returns to her room and reviews the list before going after the creature in the desert. However, there is still one last item missing, none other than Chase's gun, which he keeps in the glove compartment of his van. Without Chase or Linda noticing, Renee takes the car keys, and as soon as she opens the glove compartment, she finds the gun along with bottles of alcohol. The girl soon realizes that her mother's boyfriend's promises are false, but she has no time to waste and sets off on her ATV toward the desert. Once there, Renee doesn't find the creature, only the chain stained with a green liquid that appears to be blood. In addition, she also sees deer remains scattered around the site, indicating that the monster is still nearby. She then positions the camera, and with the gun pointed upwards, Renee pulls the trigger to try to attract the creature. However, nothing happens and Renee decides to go closer to the crater, holding the gun and a pair of pliers while the camera records everything. As she approaches, the alien remains motionless with one of its paws caught in a bear trap. Then using the pliers, the girl manages to free it from the trap, but the creature does not react and Renee believes that it did not survive. The girl decides to finish recording, but when she turns her back, the alien gets up and lunges at Renee, knocking her to the ground. Unable to react, she just waits for the worst, but the alien backs off and lets the girl get up. Despite its frightening appearance, Renee realizes that the alien is docile, just like her pets. She then tries to communicate with it and offers it an apple to eat. But the creature rejects it and does not understand her language. As night approaches, Renee leaves the alien in the crater and returns home. But upon entering her room, she realizes she has forgotten Chase's gun. Once again, she tries to leave the house unnoticed. But outside, she encounters the alien who has followed her all the way so that no one finds out about him. Renee takes the road back to the desert and tells the alien to come along. However, suddenly the creature disappears into the darkness, and the girl sees no sign of him anywhere. Suddenly, the alien appears behind Renee and shoots tentacles from its mouth, hitting the girl's face. However, instead of attacking her, the creature creates a mental connection with the girl, who faints on the floor. After this experience, at dawn, Renee wakes up in the middle of the desert, and now that she is connected to the alien, she hugs him and decides to take him to her house. As soon as Chase and Linda leave the house, the girl sets up a place for the creature to stay in the basement and takes him to see her room. Inside, the alien sees Renee's pets and even threatens to attack her snake. However, the girl stops him, saying that he cannot eat her friends, and as soon as the creature calms down, Renee decides to call him Croak. Hours later, the two enjoy the rest of the day watching TV in the living room, when Renee hears the sound of Linda's car approaching. With no time to lose, she leaves the mess in the living room and runs to hide Croak back in the basement. Meanwhile, at school, Renee didn't show up for class, and she still hasn't returned Gil's camera. The boy then goes to her house to get it back just as Linda has arrived, and she lets him get the camera from her daughter's room. In the meantime, Renee leaves Croak hidden in the basement and returns to her room where she sees Gil watching the video recording on the camera. The boy asks what that creature was, but Renee tries to cover it up, saying that everything in the recording was fake. With no other choice, Renee agrees to take him to the basement. And once there, the alien is startled to see the boy and lunges to attack him. Renee quickly steps in front of him and once again teaches Croak that he cannot devour his friends. The creature then retreats, but its appearance is enough to panic Gil, and the boy faints on the floor. Minutes later, Renee helps him wake up and Gil starts screaming in fear, but the girl tells him to be quiet and assures him that Croak will not attack him. To prove it, Renee approaches the alien and begins to sing a song with Croak's body reacting to the music and vibrating to the same rhythm. Seeing that the creature is not dangerous, Gil leaves, but first, he returns the video recording and promises not to tell anyone about it. What they didn't count on was that far away, two federal agents are investigating the area and manage to overhear their conversation. The next day, Renee meets Gil at school, and the boy asks her how she has been feeding the alien. However, the young woman says she has tried to give it various types of food, but Croak does not want to eat. Gil then has an idea and agrees to meet Renee in the southern part of the desert where the authorities are not yet investigating. Once there, they find a group of pigs in the middle of the desert, and Gil believes that Croak needs to hunt in order to feed itself. Renee then tells the alien to eat, and within seconds, the creature lunges at the pigs and begins to devour them. Meanwhile, Gil asks more about Renee and where she came from. The girl reveals that after her father passed away, Linda decided to move to another city to deal with the loss, and since then, the two have been living near the desert. The conversation continues until Croak returns, bringing what's left of one of the pigs to give to his friend. Renee thanks him for the gesture, and Gil decides to leave. But first, he warns the girl that she won't be able to hide the alien forever, and very soon someone will come after him. Renee, however, intends to keep him hidden for as long as necessary and returns home, leaving Croak safe in the basement. After that, the girl comes across Chase sitting on the couch, and as expected, he returns to drinking behind Linda's back. The girl just ignores him and goes to her room, but he pulls her by her coat and orders her to sit on the couch. Chase then tells her that he couldn't find his gun in the glove compartment of his car and demands to know where she left it. Renee tries to deny it, but when he sees that she is lying, he approaches her in a threatening tone. He tells her how his father used to threaten him in the past to command his respect through fear. He then warns the girl that if she continues to get in his way, he will do the same to her. Renee gets nervous and runs to call her mother, but the man grabs her with his arms and throws her against the wall. The girl tries to resist, but Chase pins her to the floor while Renee screams desperately for help. At that moment, Linda wakes up in her bedroom and runs to help her daughter. But Croak hears everything from the basement and senses that her friend is in danger. Enraged, the alien begins to bang his head against the wall with all his strength, causing the whole house to shake. After this scare, Renee realizes that this was done by her friend, but decides to keep it a secret. After the fight, Chase tries to explain himself, but Linda does not forgive him for what he did to her daughter and tells him to leave her house. As soon as he walks out the door, Linda goes to help her daughter, but Renee is also angry with her mother for getting involved with the guy and leaves the house. Soon after, she goes to meet Croak, who has almost destroyed the wall with his strength. She then tells her friend to calm down because if he continues to expose himself like this, someone will come after him. As she feared at dawn on her way to school, Renee comes across a vehicle in front of her house. From inside, it emerges Agent Jonathan Keyes, who says he is looking for something and the girl may know the answer. Renee tries to avoid the subject and says she is late for school, but the agent won't let her leave and offers her a ride. In addition, he tells her that he found a gun in the desert with not only the fingerprints of its owner, Chase, but also Renee's. With no other option, the girl accepts the ride, and on the way, the agent gives her one last warning that he needs her help with his investigation. However, if she tries to interfere or hide anything, he will return to her house with a warrant and even handcuffs if necessary. Meanwhile, Linda gets ready for work, but the kitchen faucet seems to be clogged. She calls a plumber to check it out and suspects that the problem has something to do with last night's earthquake. The plumber says he didn't feel any tremors in the city and goes to check the plumbing in the basement with Linda heading off to work. Upon inspecting the site, he notices something strange until suddenly he sees the alien hiding behind a pile of boxes. Frightened, the man tries to attack him with a wrench, but Croak fights back, injuring the plumber's arm. The man then runs back to his van and drives off, but he isn't paying attention to the road and ends up crashing into a pickup truck. Hours later, Renee leaves school and on her way back, she sees the accident with the plumber's truck stopped on the road. Not knowing what happened, she just ignores it, but Linda shows up to take her daughter back home. And on the way, the two argue about Chase. The girl takes out all her anger on her mother, blaming her for bringing the guy into their home. She even says that Linda hasn't gotten over the loss of her father, which is why she doesn't even talk about him. Even though she is offended, Linda does not try to argue and tells the girl to take the bottles of water she bought because of the clogged plumbing. Upon hearing this, the girl suspects that something has happened to Croak and runs to the basement where she finds blood stains scattered on the floor. Then she sees the alien with a head wound and helps him clean it up. The girl quickly deduces what happened and realizes she can't keep hiding Croak in the basement. She then takes him back to the desert and asks Gil to meet her there. The boy agrees, but soon after, Brown, another federal agent, shows up in front of his house and tells the boy he needs his help. Later, Renee is on her way to the desert and decides to test Croak's speed. She accelerates her ATV and tells the alien to follow her. Croak has difficulty keeping up at first, but he soon gets used to it and starts running at full speed, managing to overtake Renee. Finally, the two arrive in the desert, and as soon as Gil appears, the girl explains her plan to him. She intends to take the alien in Chase's van, which he left in front of her house after the fight. Once everything is ready, Renee will go to a reserve in another desert where she intends to stay for a few days with Croak until she is sure the place is safe. Gil doesn't think this is a good idea and mentions the agent who came to his house. Even so, he didn't say anything about Croak, but advises Renee to think carefully about what she intends to do. However, the girl is determined and asks him to set up a tent where she can sleep while she is away. Seeing that he won't be able to convince her otherwise, Gil agrees to help and promises to bring the tent later. Finally, the girl returns home, writes a farewell message to her mother, and packs a bag with supplies for the trip. She also releases her pets into the desert, knowing that no one will take care of them while she is away. Now, all that's left is to start the van and go get Croak. But before she can, Chase shows up with a shotgun and pulls the girl out of the car. He then takes her back inside the house and calls for Linda, holding them both at gunpoint on the living room sofa. Far away, a group of soldiers goes to the place where Croak is, but they don't find the alien, who runs back to Renee's house. He needs to hurry because Chase has completely lost control due to drinking and is trying to take out his frustration on Linda and her daughter. Despite the threat, the woman tries to protect her daughter and tells Renee to run away with Chase, knocking her down with a blow from the butt of his gun. The girl takes the chance to escape, but Chase catches up with her and pushes her against the van. With Renee lying on the ground, the man points the shotgun at her and blames her for Linda ending their relationship. Chase even gets the gun ready, but before he can shoot, Croak appears at full speed and pushes the man against the car. Then the creature begins to devour him. And even though Renee begs him not to, Croak is overcome with rage and tears Chase to pieces. Still furious, the alien even roars at Renee. But when he regains consciousness, he quickly calms down and runs away. Seconds later, Gil appears and sees Chase's body, but Renee tries to explain herself, saying that Croak saved her life. However, Gil informs her that this has gone too far and federal agents are on their way. He also reveals that he was forced to tell them everything he knew, otherwise his grandfather, who is an illegal immigrant, would be deported from the country. The girl is enraged that he has betrayed her trust. But Agent Jonathan appears, informing her that everything Gil said is true. Upon seeing the agent, Renee tries to escape on her ATV, but the agent shoots at the vehicle's wheel and tells the girl to calm down. With nowhere to run, Renee is forced to surrender, and the agents set up a base in her home. In addition, they strap the girl to a chair with several cables connected to her mind to identify the connection between her and the alien. According to the computer, the connection between the two is the strongest ever seen. So, the agent orders everyone to put headphones on. He then apologizes to Renee and breaks her finger, causing her to scream so that the alien can hear her. The trap works, and Renee's screams of pain attract Croak, who rushes to save his friend. However, the alien is trapped in a force field and captured with Renee begging them to release him, but Jonathan knocks her unconscious with a sleeping gas. Minutes later, Croak, Renee, and Linda are taken to a secret base where the alien is being held prisoner. Jonathan then goes to a room to interrogate Renee, who upon waking up demands to know where Croak is. She tries to convince the agent that the alien is not evil and is just scared. However, Jonathan believes that the creature was actually created from beings even more evolved than humans and sent to Earth on a reconnaissance mission. He fears that the alien is just the prelude to something much worse, such as an invasion of hungry aliens across the planet. Renee refuses to believe this as she and Croak have a strong bond of friendship, but the agent intends to use this to find a way to eliminate the alien species. The girl refuses to cooperate, but Jonathan warns her that otherwise Linda will be kept in custody and subjected to constant interrogation. After this conversation, the agent leaves the girl in the room and meets his colleague Brown, who does not approve of the way Jonathan is handling the investigation. He insists on ending the interrogation and letting the girl go, but Jonathan is willing to do whatever it takes to eliminate the creature. Back in the interrogation room, Renee tries to think of a way to save her friend, and in a desperate move, she decides to break her other finger. The unbearable pain makes the girl scream, and the sound is heard by Croak, who, even though he is trapped in the force field, begins to struggle. With great effort, the alien breaks free and begins to attack the police officers who sound the alarm throughout the base. Realizing what is happening, Jonathan enters the room and tries to silence the girl, but it is too late and the creature advances through the building. Jonathan and Brown then prepare their stun guns to take down the alien and wait for him inside the room. However, Croak manages to break down the door with his strength, causing the two agents to be pushed back and fall unconscious to the floor. The alien then prepares to eliminate them, but Renee stops him as he cannot become the monster that others think he is. With the alien under control, the girl steals Jonathan's car keys and leaves to escape alongside Croak. However, Jonathan wakes up and prepares his weapon. But this time, he removes the stun bullets and loads lethal ammunition. Seconds later, the agent manages to reach the parking lot and sees Renee about to flee in a car alongside the alien. Without hesitation, the agent starts shooting at the creature, and Renee tells Croak to hide behind the car. However, the bullets from Jonathan's gun manage to pierce the metal, and the pair will not be able to resist for much longer. Seeing that Renee is in danger, Croak decides to sacrifice himself and runs towards the agent who fires his gun at him. Despite his injuries, the alien continues forward and with his sharp paw, he strikes Jonathan's body, eliminating him. After that, Renee runs to help her friend. But unfortunately, Croak has lost too much blood, and it seems that he is gone forever. Days after this tragedy, Linda and Renee return home and try to start their lives over. Still, the girl misses her friend. And as night falls, she sits on the swing and plays a song on her banjo in honor of Croak. Far away in a secret government laboratory, scientists took the alien's body to be examined. While preparing the equipment, the creature moves on the stretcher, and then a roaring sound is heard, frightening the scientists. Whether Croak managed to escape the base and return to Renee is a fate that remains a mystery. So, what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps.